Warning: the following episode of That Mental Ginger Show contains strong language and adult themes.
Alright, troops.
Hello and welcome to That Mental Ginger Show with your host Andrew Durning, aka The Mental Ginger. Well, my faithful followers, I have news. I no longer have 3 faithful followers. I'm up to 5. I'm up to 5 faithful followers. Oh, it just shows we're growing. So I had to really push the boat out for a really special guest to celebrate my 5 faithful followers, all the Fs. So I've reached out to a very, very lovely woman, also a fellow twin parent. That's sometimes as rare as Bigfoot riding a unicorn. But we managed to find her, and she's also a podcast host. She could be my second wife from another country. We don't know. But please welcome the lovely, the talented Katie Bjargvide. I think that was right.
So close.
So close. Oh,
so close. My last name is pronounced Bjargvide, and I am one of like 15 Bjargvides in the whole world.
To the other 14 Bjargvides, I sincerely apologize for the butchering of your last name. But how are you, Katie? How are you today?
I'm doing good. I just watched a very emotional episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation.
Oh, which one?
So I'm just like filled with love for the show. It's one where Riker suddenly is like thrust into the future, and 60 years have passed and he doesn't remember anything, and he has a son and all this stuff.
Oh man, well, you're speaking my language already. I am massive Star Trek fan. Absolutely love Star Trek in all its forms.
I had no idea what I was missing. I was like, oh, that show, whatever. I don't care. It looks kind of weird. I had no thoughts about it. And then I started watching and I'm like, how have I gone 35 years without this?
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. I just got ingrained in it when my dad liked Star Trek, and then it was just always on. But every weekday at 5 o'clock, they showed repeats of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it was there, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved it.
So you might be interested. Oh my goodness, my cats are going crazy.
Don't worry. I've got a cat as well.
I'm a foster mama to a cat who she was pregnant when I got her, and 3 days later she had 6 kittens, and now they're 7 weeks old, and it's just chaos.
Wow, I thought I was. Well, so you've got 7 cats technically, and you've got twins as well.
One of them had to go to another house because it just needed a little bit of extra care. So, but still, 6 cats is a lot. 6
cats, 2 kids. Wow. Is it just twins you've got, or have you got another child?
I have 2 5-year-olds.
2 5-year-olds, right? Just making sure. Yep. I didn't want to just be talking about twins and be like, wait, is there another child? And I'm not mentioning. I don't want them to feel insulted if they ever listen back.
Yeah, and 2 most days feels like enough.
Oh yes, definitely. I was only trying for 1, and when we got the 2, it was like, oh dear goodness, I cannot believe this.
How old are yours?
They're 3.
They're 3. Oh yeah.
Yep.
2. I feel like 2 was harder, and then 3 was. They start to get a bit more able to do things, and it's not so. But yeah, it's not easy with these wills you have to contend with.
Yeah, I mean, I said in the previous episode of my podcast that I thought the newborn stage for me was an absolute nightmare. Well, I couldn't cope with it. Because the not knowing what they want and how to kind of make them feel better, make them happy. I just felt it just sent me into a spiral, and I always felt like I was failing them. Whereas now they're up a bit and they can talk. Sometimes they might not be saying the right thing of what they want, but at least I can communicate and I know things that are working with it. It's just probably just experience and then growing up.
As long as you were there for the mama, just giving her water and food and cleaning, as long as you just did those things that she couldn't do, you did not fail, sir. Just hold on to that.
Well, I'll replay this to my wife because sometimes I think that she doesn't realise how good I actually am. Because I do the washing, I do the ironing, I make her what just before we jumped onto the podcast for any listeners, I usually film at 8:30 at night. And my wife does a back shift and she comes in at 8 p.m. and always makes sure her dinner is on the table for her when she gets in. But the only downside is because I record the podcast at 8:30, she feels like she's choking her dinner down so we can get the dining room because it's the best place I can record. So but I think I've earned a little bit of leeway than I just might have to adjust as I go on, but that's another day. Anyway, we're not here to talk about me and my craziness. That's for later. We're here to talk about Katie's craziness. Well, and all its glory and all its fabulousness. So what I like to do, Katie, is to get my guests to start by telling us their origin story. Because if there's one thing we all have in common, we have an origin. So for my now 5 faithful followers, just so happy about that, please tell them your origin story.
Well, I'd like to reference a book report that I wrote when I was 13 that I still have committed to memory, more or less, because I took every writing assignment in school and just made it Pulitzer Prize level writing. And so the way that I started, the book report was about the year I was born, 1986. And I was like, before June 28th, 1986, the world was in a deep, dark depression. The birds didn't fly. There was no color in the rainbow. But then, in that shining morning at night, at 8:49 p.m., I came into the world and brought purpose and meaning and joy.
Brilliant. There must be something about June because you're 28th of June, 1986. I'm 30th of June, 1987. There must be something with the June that we just radiate that kind of that hope and that optimism.
That extraness.
Yeah, just the bit that's missing in the world, we bring it. We definitely do. Must be a Cancer thing, a Cancer sign. Yeah. So where were you born? Because I
was born in Utah.
Utah. Wow, interesting.
For those of people who have no clue, because there's a billion states and who cares, but there's so you think Hollywood, Las Vegas, Utah.
There we go. It's good to have a map. But in fairness, hardly anybody knows all. Is it 52 states now, or is it still 50? Well, we don't know.
I don't know.
It's kind of like it's like when Pluto got downgraded to a dwarf planet. We're like, we don't know. We're not sure. We'll just roll with it.
For the people who don't have the honor of seeing our faces, I gave a very beautiful expression of, I don't know, with all my double chins and my hands up in a catastrophic way.
If anyone listening on audio, she does not have double chins. She looks very lovely. And she's got a nice, lovely tiara on. I did notice she has her tiara on. So what was it like growing up in Utah?
Well, it's very different than anywhere else in the world, I'd imagine. Like, it's very protected. The Mormons have a very strong influence to keep things very family friendly. Like, people from other countries or even other states come and they're like, what do you do?
Does Utah a lot of Mormon kind of, essentially a Mormon society? Like a Mormon state?
But it's not, but some people think like, is it like Amish people? Like, can you tell? Oh, that's a Mormon person. Like, no, they look like everyone else.
So they're like the chameleons of religion?
Yeah. They're lizard people. Wait, no.
So were you raised Mormon or were you raised different? You were not? Okay.
I was raised, first we were raised Christmas and Easter Christians.
Yeah.
And then we started going to church full time when I was like 8 years old. So there's a lot of bitterness of people who were not raised Mormon for being like excluded, for not being, like, it's, I'm so good with words today. You're welcome.
It's all right. So did you feel like you were kind of left out of the quote unquote in crowd?
I felt very much on the outside.
No, that must have been. I mean, I know about being on the outside, being ginger. Well, that's bad enough over here, but I'm really sorry that you had to go through that.
Yeah, And I was teased, and there's kids who endured much worse bullying than me, but I was called crybaby Katie and monkey nose. Now I've embraced, I do have large nostrils, but I've embraced them in my YouTube videos. If it's a lighthearted vlog or something, or a fun conversation, I end them like this. So I'll describe what I'm doing.
Please describe for our audio. This is brilliant.
Yeah, people are just gonna have to go back and watch the video of this on your YouTube channel.
No, they'll just have to listen to Spotify, then re-watch on YouTube. It gets me double views. Exactly. Fire away.
So what I do is as I lean back, I tilt my head at an angle, I flare my nostrils, and I bring my nostrils up to the camera while saying, "Nostrils of death."
Oh, the audio as well as the video. That was fantastic. Oh my goodness. We're 10 minutes and 48 seconds in, and already I am loving this interview. You are such a delight, Katie. You really are. So you mentioned your YouTube channel. So let's get the plugs going, right? So tell me about your YouTube channel. Tell us the content, purpose, where you can find you. What sell, baby, sell, as they say.
Okay, well, if you call now, we'll throw in a free set of spatulas. Wait, no.
Hey, I could use a spatula.
So I actually have two channels. I'm an overachiever.
Wow.
One is called Epic Kate Bjargvide, and you can if you just search Epic Kate, you'll find me, so that you don't have to worry about spelling Bjargvide.
Yep,
Epic Kate. Epic.
Yes, I searched that. I found you. I subscribed. If it's good enough for me, it's good enough for everybody. So please subscribe.
All 5 of you. I'd love to have you a part of my little community.
Yep, 5 is better than none. That's the way I look at it.
I never get 5 subscribers in a day. Like I'm lucky if I get 5 subscribers in a month. So anyway,
well, 5 is like my whole following, at least on Anchor anyway. It says I've got at the time of this recording I had 90 subscribers, but when it gets released, who knows? I might actually get to triple digits. We never know.
So I do vlogs, but I don't know if some people have a bad taste in their mouth about vlogs, and they think like, oh, influencers are like, look how perfect my life is. And I went to Starbucks and I got a $92 coffee. And but I am not. I show the good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to have fun. I want to connect. I want to talk about what I'm struggling with and just be real and show the cute moments of my kittens and my kids, but not like too much, not like some people like they record their kids at the park and it's like 10 minutes of them running around and you're like, are you serious? This is so boring. I work really hard to make my vlogs not boring. Yeah,
well, variety is the spice of life, and that's the thing that makes it stand out. So what specifically drove you toward the vlog side of it rather than like a kind of show podcasting kind of side, at least for this one?
Well, I saw like there's this ridiculous character YouTuber that you first see her and you're like, this is the stupidest thing ever. But if you're a weird person like me, when you realize it's a joke, it's hilarious. And her name is Miranda Sings.
Yes, I've seen that.
I really loved it. I loved her channel. And then I loved Colleen and I loved her vlogs. And I was like, wait a sec. These vlogs are not fancy. They're just slices of her life. I could do this. And so I decided to try. After I was a traveling missionary actor for 13 years.
Wow.
And then I found out I was having twins while I was in South Africa, came to have them in Sweden because my husband is Swedish. And then after having this high pressure, exciting traveling life, I needed something to pour my heart into. I needed a place to release my creativity. I needed it to be something that I could just treat like a job.
Yeah.
And so I started December 2019. The conversation podcast aspect didn't start until 2 years ago when I had this idea to talk with friends and fellow YouTubers and just kind of have fun with it. Yeah. But I did it in a way that they would I would record myself asking questions. I emailed them the questions, and then they would record themselves answering it. So it really looked like we were talking, but we weren't.
Yeah, that's how I did the first couple as well, just because I didn't have a clue how to work any technology. That was really my only way. But you said that you were like a traveling missionary actor. So what got you interested in the arts?
Oh man, I don't know if you could tell this about me based on the last few minutes of talking, but I really like to be the center of attention and make people laugh.
No, I really haven't noticed that. Not at all. No. Well, for anybody watching on YouTube, she was doing a lot of hand movements there. It was very interesting. So get on the YouTube and watch this right now.
Go and watch the video. Come on.
Yes.
So yeah, I always wanted to perform, and I got to do some like church skits and video, like things to dances and things growing up. And it was when I learned about this organization, Covenant Players, when I was 16. I was like, oh yeah, traveling, getting out of Utah. I had this travel bug inside of me. I wanted to see the world, but it didn't seem possible to see the world because I didn't grow up poor. Like I wasn't like hungry or in need or anything. Just, like secondhand clothes that didn't fit and looking like a total awkward kid my whole life, poor. So like the thought of actually traveling was just not really possible. But I saw everyone else just get stuck in this rat race of life of you get married, you have kids, you have a job you hate, your whole life is just paying the bills, and it seemed so incredibly unfulfilling to me. So I was like, I wanted to go out on the road and have adventures before I was stuck into the boring life.
Well, air quotes, definitely. So where did you go in your travels?
First, it was the Midwest of the United States, which is the flat cornfields, gorgeous sunsets, though. When everything's flat, the sky makes up for the lack of anything else. And then I was on the East Coast, all over the East Coast. I actually got to travel around in New York City for some time. That was really cool. And then I got to go to Europe, and my very first touring area was Ireland.
Oh yes, it's like Scotland but with a different accent. Love Ireland. Absolutely love it.
There wasn't any teams going to Scotland, but I always had dreamed of going to Scotland. So when I was at one lake that it was like across from Scotland, like my heart broke a little bit seeing the lights on the other side, knowing that Scotland was just there, because leaning into the camera for emphasis, because my last name is Erskine. I'm not one of those Americans that's like, I'm Scottish because my ancestors 500 years ago were Scottish, but I mean, I do have this connection. It's in my blood. I have a castle in Scotland that I need to conquer. I need to get my war paint. And
you also have a bridge as well. There's Erskine Bridge.
See, I have a lot of conquering to do.
Yep, you have to get on that bridge. You have to get to that castle. You have to just get to
Braemar Castle. Braemar Castle is mine.
Right. So if we can get UPS to just like lift the castle and bring it over to Sweden, for like a day release.
In like the 1800s, the Farquharson clan took it from us. And they are my enemies. If there's any Farquharsons out there, I'm coming for you.
I'm trying to think what Alison's Kennedy. She's all right. I'm just trying to think what my wife was before that, but she's Kennedy, so we're okay. And my last name is actually of Northern Irish descent, which is quite weird. But at the same time, don't bother me. I'm cool with it. But so where else did it take you? Went to Ireland. You went to Ireland, then next destination.
And then I traveled, and then I was really nervous about it, to actually travel in a different language. But I worked in German. I was in the German-speaking countries, Austria, Germany, Switzerland, German-speaking Switzerland. I was there for a chunk of time. I was in the north of Germany for a chunk of time. I met my husband. We got married. We traveled in Germany for some time, and then France.
Oh, wow.
Languages, and then South Africa, and then it's a complicated thing. Also in there, we traveled in America for a little while, and then South Africa, and then back to Germany, back to Sweden, and we were done.
And that was it. Wow, you've covered off more places in your 30-year kind of journey than most people cover in their entire lives.
I'm so happy about that. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting how that kind of goes back to the conversations on my channel, that I was in this super religious childhood and super religious environment as a missionary. And now my conversations are really about a lot of them are, not all of them, but a lot of them are about deconstructing evangelicalism. And it's been a real amazing thing to connect with authors and people with stories, people who came out of cults and abusive marriages.
Wow.
And just connecting with people. I have this passion to help people tell their stories.
Yeah.
And just teach compassion. And I'm not saying I'm the guru. I'm going to teach you how to live your life. And
for the small fee of $25.99 a month.
Out of my bounteous wisdom and knowledge, you shall become as good as I am. I'm I don't know squat. I'm learning. Please teach me. And I've had people that are telling me about their experiences of growing up Black, what it's been like dealing with racism, and just learning so many of the things that I was taught weren't quite there.
Yeah.
Deconstructing my education as an American, oh my goodness. Whoa. The history that we're taught, don't even get me started.
I love how you went so New York there. Love it. But I've seen what for anybody that's watching on the YouTube will know this, but anybody listening will see that there is a sign in the background. It says "Listen, Inspire, Grow." Before we came on, Katie said that was one of her our mottos, one of her inspirations. So how did that kind of saying impact you? Where did that come from?
Well, in order to actually care about someone and actually grow, you have to listen to them. I believe that stories can change the world. I believe that back when I was an actor missionary, that we wouldn't tell these cheap stories that were just person is sad, finds God, becomes happy, blah blah. It was hard situations that didn't have an end. And that's so much closer to life. And it's when we demonize people that we don't understand, we don't listen to them, we just put them in a box. And then, but when you actually take the time to hear their story, then you're changed, and you can feel that compassion. That's what inspires you, and that's how you grow.
Yep, dropping a bit of knowledge there, just dropping it. Boom, mic drop. I can't drop this mic; it's very, very heavy. I'm
holding my hand up in a fist. Can you edit a microphone in there that can fall?
I'm not that good, but we'll just say that there was a mic for all the people that are listening.
Okay.
Rather than watching. So, and in between all this, you became a mum with twins. But now, how did you process the news of finding out that you had twins? I mean, from my side, it was what is going on here? How did you find it?
Well, the real when I was traveling in Europe and America, we traveled in a van. When I was in South Africa, we traveled in a car. Even less room for car seats. You know what I mean?
Oh man, yeah, definitely. Well, it's even just going from from my car to my wife's car, it's bigger, and I'm just man, there really is more room. But these kids keep growing. But
we didn't have any money because we're volunteers in this organization. So we would get a non-guaranteed stipend depending on how many performances we had that week. Every week we would start at zero.
Wow.
We had nothing, and we were traveling in a car, and we were just we were just in shock. Morton, my husband, was
yeah.
And I was just couldn't comprehend it. And then it's started to come into my brain, this is really special. This is amazing. And we both were we were just like, we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be okay. So we were really excited. And I loved being pregnant in South Africa. People are so nice. Oh. Like in Sweden, you can just feel like a ghost walking around because nobody looks at you or acknowledges you. Even when you go into a shop, like nobody will make eye contact with you.
Sounds like heaven for me.
In South Africa, people are like, I loved it when people touched my belly. And it would be like, oh, and I'd say, hey, guess what? There's 2 in there. And they'd say, oh, no, you're joking. What a blessing.
Do you get all the questions like, when you're out with them, are they twins? Are they identical? But how do you cope?
Yeah.
I felt like getting t-shirts made just with the springboard sentences. In my case, it was like, yes, they're identical. No, we didn't expect it. No, I don't think you could do it either.
Yeah. Well, I would probably be more tired of those questions if I was asked them, but I really haven't been asked much. Like in Sweden, people really mind their own business a lot.
That's great.
So like sometimes the most, I'm an extrovert. I like to talk to people. I don't think I would have gotten tired of them because for 12, 13 years, I traveled around constantly asking and constantly answering the same questions.
Yeah.
So I have plenty of practice in that.
Do you think that's why you like doing like the kind of the vlogging and the podcast, because you get to ask questions and be curious, but it's seen as journalism rather than in my case being nosy.
Yeah, I love it. I love having the chance to connect with people. And I got this amazing opportunity with this lady who's a publicist, so she sorry there's so much in here. If you're having to edit this, or I don't know.
Oh no, I don't edit, don't worry. Okay. All the blah-blahs will be there. Just keep on running.
Okay, I shall. I got connected with this lady who is a publicist, and she connected me with all of these amazing people, and I was just like addicted, and I was like, give me more. I want to talk to more people. And now I have like 5 million conversations to edit. And I'm not overwhelmed at all. But I mean, I've talked to legends. Like I talked to a guy who was with Pink Floyd and Toto.
Wow.
And another guy who's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who was like in a movie with Dolly Parton.
Jeez. That's great. That's nuts.
He's the coolest guy. There's a lot of musicians that like were more famous in the 80s and they still have a career among their people. Like this guy who was in this thing called Anime's X. Yeah. You've heard of it?
Yes, I have. Hence why the eyes just went like 3 times their normal size.
Yeah. He was Michael Viscera. I talked to him. Got to talk to, when going back to Star Trek, Eileen, the lady who did it, she's actually a Star Trek author. She wrote a best-selling book about Star Trek. It's like combining her nurse experience as like the ultimate Star Trek guide to medicine or something like that she wrote. And she actually got to meet all the original Star Trek people. And her first interview was with Leonard Nimoy.
For anybody that's not watching, my jaws hit the floor for about 40 to 50 seconds. That's like nerdvana for me. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. Please hook me up with this publicist, for the love of God. Right?
I got to talk to this guy named Mickey Burns, who has a TV channel. You know Mickey Burns?
Yes. Well, I there's lots and lots of like sleuthing that I do. Well, it's mainly because I just try and look for people to talk to me. But
dude, like I'm so shocked to talk to somebody who knows the people I've talked to. Like my mind is blown right now. Mickey Burns has a TV show that's in New York, and he talks to all these celebrities. He's talked to Maya Angelou. He's talked to freaking Christopher Plummer, George Foreman, Ernest Burgoyne. How do you say his name? He was an amazing actor in the 50s. Like,
I know who else you're talking about. I just can't get it. get it out of my brain, but we'll scale it. But you get to talk to these guys that
I got to talk to Mickey Burns.
Yeah.
I loved talking to him. He's an interviewer, so and
brilliant.
he said I was a natural, and my heart exploded into a million pieces.
Oh wow, that's absolutely amazing. That's brilliant. So where do you see it going, heading into 2022? For Katie, what's the ambitions or the goals for your channel or your own personal ambitions?
I want to keep reaching out to more people who can help me in my deconstructing journey. And I have so many amazing conversations coming up. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
I got to talk to a guy who went through conversion therapy at Liberty University.
Wow. Man, that is definitely a topic of interest. That's
there's
crazy.
A really wonderful artist. Have you ever seen comics from this guy called The Naked Pastor?
Now you've got me stumped there. Well, I do know my comics, but not that one.
He does kind of religious comments, deconstructing comics, like one where there's Jesus and he's holding a sheep that has the trans flag on it, and he's bringing it back, and there's sheep in front of him saying, no, Jesus, he isn't lost. We kicked him out. And he said, and I know, and I brought her home.
Oh,
really,
yeah. Well, really
powerful things. And I got to talk to him, and and I'm so excited to share that conversation. So it's like, sometimes it's disappointing when I'm talking to these big stars and the videos get 20 views. Mm-hmm. And
do you feel like when that happens, you feel like you've let your guests down?
Kinda. And
I feel like that as well. But my second video that I put up was with John Vavent, and he's a big music producer from New York. And he's such a brilliant guy. He went to Berkeley with Justin Timberlake and stuff like that. And he got to grace me with his time, and I was so honored to have it. And then I seen it only had 20 odd views, and I just felt so guilty. I felt like I'd let him down. I felt like I hadn't done enough for him. It really does, doesn't it?
I hear you so much. One of my favorite conversations was with this guy named John Velasco, and he's a big deal in his world. He signed ABBA before they won Eurovision. He's got this incredible career, incredible connections.
Were they the guys that had the studio in Switzerland?
I don't know.
Because it rings a bell. I think they might have been in a Netflix documentary as well, but
very well could have been.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it hurts that it only got so many views. But then I don't want to give up. Obviously, even if it's just for me, the stuff that Scott Page said about. Sorry, I'm mumbling. These people affect me. They say these wonderful things. I feel connected to them. I feel like I'm growing. I feel like this is going to be for someone out there is going to resonate with this. And I can't look at the numbers and say, oh no, 20 people watched, I'm a failure, but think 20 people got something out of this.
Yeah, exactly.
And get my head out of the numbers, and just now I'm like, wow, my vlogs get more views than my conversations with epic people. That's so weird.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, wow, I'm honored. Out of all the amazing content that's out there, how few hours there are in the day that people chose to spend those 11 minutes with me, or those 40 minutes with me. That's a huge honor.
Yeah, definitely. And I used to think that as well, because one of my other channels, I did lots of different things. The main thing I done was reviews of the show Thomas the Tank Engine, because I was a big Thomas fan. And I seen those views going up, going up into the hundreds, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. This is me just talking about steam engines, and saying, oh, I think Thomas was actually a bit of a prick, and it's getting all these views, and I'm like, wow, this is unreal. then I'm doing something, like this and speaking to well-established names in like entertainment industry or like my own pals that are going through stuff, and we're trying to have real conversations, and I see like, 4 views. I'm like, really? What? It's what, sometimes it just doesn't comprehend your brain, does it?
Yeah, it's hard to deal with. But I listened to one of your conversations with with one of your friends, and I was like, this is really great. This is worth the time. You did a good job with it.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm really flattered that you listened to it. Well, I've listened to your stuff as well and tried to also look at the vlogs. So I always say it's like I do my Facebook stalking, but that's just like my fancy way of saying I do my research. But yeah, but I really like your style, and I thought this was going to be a good conversation because you had that kind of quirky humor, like the same that I've got. What maybe think a little off the beaten track, but it's a good thing because that's the way it should be. And it's not disappointed. You've been such a lovely guest. You brought all your quirky energy that I've absolutely loved. And I wish you nothing but future success for your blogs and your podcasts. I really, really do. Just for another plug before we go into the final question, tell all my listeners where we can find you.
Oh, right. So you can find me on YouTube. I also have another channel that's called YouTubing with Katie, and it's for people who want to have a YouTube channel but don't know where to start or want to put in more of their personality and more of their self. Like it's very easy if you're starting a YouTube channel to think you have to be professional and you're like 3 things you need to have kittens. But you have to learn to show the mistakes.
Yeah, I'm just loving while we're saying that, like how when you were saying we need to learn how to have mistake, and your kittens, like wee furry little balloon knot was just over your shoulder. It was fantastic. Everybody, please go and watch the YouTube video just to see the adorable kitten. She's selling with the kitten. She's doing the best YouTube research promotion video you can do. Get cats on the internet. That's how it started.
The internet was created for cats.
Exactly. And lonely middle-aged men.
So yeah.
But yeah, your cat is adorable, by the way. It's so adorable. But anyway, I interrupted twice, just because like your cat's balloon knot was there. But please continue.
Yeah. So currently on my YouTubing with Katie channel, I'm like reviewing, analyzing YouTubers to see what's special about them, to give advice for, okay, see how they do this. You can incorporate it this way. And I think it would be entertaining even for people who aren't YouTubers, just to kind of like get a perspective on what makes a creator special.
If you had to do that for your own video, if you had to like watch like some of your own ones and do that kind of audit critique, what would you say would be the thing that you would give maybe like your past YouTube self, like when you were just starting out? What would say would be your golden nugget of advice for that?
What I would tell my past self before starting, I wouldn't really say anything. I would just like keep the way that I got to where I am now. Right now, my job is editing. I just kept editing, and I just kept trying it and learning and growing. So I was like, I wouldn't change anything about that journey because it's led me where I am. And now I have these wonderful clients who I don't just edit for, I collaborate with, and I give them ideas, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's good. It is, if it's not fun, then you're not doing it right. That's kind of what they say. But Katie, you've been absolutely fabulous to talk to. I've just loved your positive energy. It's something that we really need a lot more of. We need more people to check you out, to get this positivity in their lives. It's brilliant. So we'll come to the final question I ask all my listeners. If you could give one piece of advice to anyone that's struggling with mental health issues at this moment in time, what would that piece of advice be and why?
The strongest and most important thing that a person can do is get help. It's no good trying to do it yourself and push through and like taking in this like toxic positivity and hustle culture mentality that's like, no, keep pushing, keep waking up earlier. If you don't succeed, it's your fault. Like that is just bull pucky. Bollocks, as they say in Great Britain and adjacent areas. It's bollocks to think that you just have to keep pushing. Getting help. There's help out there, even if you think that you can't afford it. Like there are people who will work with you to for therapy, for coaching, for counseling, for whatever it is that you need. I actually have a conversation on my channel about that, debunking therapy myths with a doctor.
Intriguing.
And so, yeah.
Well, I'll definitely need to check that out because I've not seen that one yet. But it's very good advice to give as well. Well, again, also very knowledgeable, insightful. I wouldn't expect anything less from you, Katie. So now we come to Sweden's favourite segment, Ask Andrew Anything. Now, for anybody that is listening, after me grilling the guest for 48 minutes and 40 seconds, well, this is where the guest gets to ask me a question, and it could be about anything. It could be something as ridiculous as what's your favourite colour of tea towel, to who would win in a fight between man, bear, pig, and a man, bear, and pig. So, Katie, do you have a question for this mental ginger?
Yes. What are you scared of?
Oh, lots of things. Well, I do have quite a fear. My main one is fear of death. I think that's something that a lot of people try and sweep under the rug and say, no, I'm not scared of dying. What if it happens, it happens. My time comes. Whatever. I am terrified of dying. Absolutely terrified of it. It's like I can't get it into my head that 1 minute we're here, the next we're not. And I know that I do believe that there is something after here. Whatever it is kind of beyond my comprehension. I'm hoping it's like heaven. At least that's what I'm praying for. But at the same time, it's just like it's because it's so unknown. I'm one of those ones that my brain's kind of like having my structure, my routines. Like even when I'm like organizing podcasts, I make sure like I've got my time, I know what I'm doing, I know how I'm going to structure it. Like even just the bullet points. Death is the biggest unknown in every existence, and it just even thinking about like things that I know won't be here when I'm gone. Like one day, like the sun will just go up, and everything will just go. It's like how is that possible? How doesn't make sense in my head. It makes me wish that I smoked weed so I could maybe like try and nail myself out, be like, okay, now I've got it. Now I know where it is. But that's the big one. The big one's the fear of death. Something really, really weird and really obscure for a fear, just so we can end in something quite interesting, or just something a bit random, so people don't walk out going, he's been talking about death. That was a massive downer to go on. I'm actually scared of dogs.
Ducks, as in quack quack ducks?
No, as in dogs, as in woof woof.
Dogs. Sorry, American ears.
No, that's all right. Scottish accent. But no, I do have a fear of dogs. I've had a fear of dogs ever since I was little. When my next door neighbour's dog, I still remember it, big black lab Charlie, bit me in the backside. I never knew that it actually bit me. Because I was just running about with like my brother and stuff, and Charlie was chasing us. And then it wasn't until afterwards I was like, "Mum, my bum hurts." And yeah, it was just like a little nip, but it was still enough to put that fear in me of dogs. And especially small dogs. Like my granddad had a Jack Russell Terrier, Rocky, and he was a little bastard. He would constantly would be growling at me and my brother, and trying to get us and attack us, and we didn't know what it was. We found out after he passed away that when he was a puppy, a child had kicked him in the face. We didn't know that at the time, and if we did, we would have been more sympathetic. But at that point, we were just, this dog wants to eat us. We're terrified of this dog. And that fear just kind of stuck with me. But it's gotten a little bit better as I've gotten older, but I'm still scared. My aunt's got a wee Scotty dog, and I'm like, Hey, buddy. You okay? I think it's why I'm okay with the cats. Well, I'm allergic to cats, but we have a cat because my wife has a cat. So I take antihistamines every day. Now that is love. Making sure that you're putting your life on the line to make sure your wife has her pet. Well, and then, you know, I fall in love with Rita as well. And then I wrote a parody song about her, all that stuff.
Oh, nice. But, okay.
Yeah.
I know a perfect way to end this.
Okay, here we go. I always like ways to wrap things up.
Do you like the movie Shrek?
Love it. Love everything about it.
Because I can do a bit of a Scottish accent from Shrek.
Oh, yes, right. I have so got to hear this.
Okay, here we go.
Right.
This is not uncomfortable at all.
No, that's fine.
No, you don't irritating when it shall be stubborn. Why don't you leave me alone?
Oh man, that was brilliant. Oh, that was funny. Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. So to add to that, I'll just do like a really random impression of Donkey. Well, only a true friend would be that truly honest. So, little donkey, take a look at me, whatever. Really tall. But I had to do the weird facial expressions to go with it. It helps. It's like when you impersonate Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons. I've got to speak out beside my mouth when I do it, like, Ralphie. But you just always it helps. It makes it more fun.
Absolutely.
But, that was a really fun way to round off the episode. Katie, you have been an absolute delight. And the wee cameo from your kitten as well is brilliant. I'm talking about like this whole existential fear of death and that, and for anybody that was just listening, like the kitten was just nuzzling in and just like, get him to go away now. I want cuddles.
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. It was brilliant. And I really hope
to be here too. If you ever want to have me back on your show, let me know.
Yep, there seems to be like a thing like people want to come back, and I'm like, wow, people actually want to do this again. Okay,
sure.
Yeah, well, it seems to be good. Well, we can get to know the rest of the cats. I think that'd be good. We get a cat show. I just randomly hold up Rita and go, hello, bye. Well, and then we'll
see who's still around next time because they might all get adopted out.
Definitely, and keep me up to date if any of them get adopted and go to like forever homes. Let me know and keep me updated on them. And my wife will be really happy that I spoke to someone with cats, which she's an animal lover. She absolutely loves all animals. So until next time, my 5 faithful followers. It's weird getting used to saying that. I have been Andrew Durning. This has been the beautiful, talented, and just generally lovely Katie. And I'll let you say your last name so I don't butcher it again.
Bjargvide.
Bjargvide. There we go. So until next time, take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.